Hi, welcome aboard. I don't think many people would argue if I said that Sydney was one of the busiest harbours in the world, and is certainly the busiest harbour in Australia. And there are two reasons for that. Firstly, it's a main port of entry for cargo and of course for passengers occasionally. But secondly, the city of Sydney is built all the way around the four shores, from South Head all the way around to North Head. There are attractions, there are residences, there are suburbs of Sydney. And that means that the harbour carries a tremendous amount of commuter traffic, not only ferries backwards and forwards from Manly and from the various wharves around the harbour, but also private boats on pleasure excursions and things like that. Now that means that the policing of Sydney Harbour really is a big job. Now it's not often we get it on board official boats such as Harbours and Marine Maritime Services Board or police boats, but recently the Sydney Water Police took delivery of two brand new boats built by Stebercraft, and as a result of that we've been able to not only get aboard the boats and show you how they operate on the harbour, but also talk to a couple of the people who are interested and who are involved in the operation of the boats. The commander of the Sydney Water Police is Sergeant Gordon Wellings, and one of the skippers of the boats is Sergeant Frank Marnie. Gordon, you've added a couple of new boats to the fleet lately.
Yes, we've got two brand new Stebercraft boats.
Gordon, what's the function of the Water Police on Sydney Harbour? I mean, obviously the public has a concept of what they see as the function of the police, but it goes a lot deeper than most people think, doesn't it?
Yes, I think most people think that we are more or less involved in search and rescue and helping people that are broken down a lot, but our main function really is preventing crime and stop stealing around the harbour, as well as helping people who are in trouble, both in the harbour and out at sea.
Well, I noticed that you have some equipment aboard the boats that's designed for that purpose, so obviously if somebody's in distress or even is having a minor problem, and you come along or they call you on the radio, you're available to assist.
Yes, we try and help as many as we can. We're obliged to take anyone that does require assistance to the nearest point of safety, and we do that as often as possible.
And as necessary.
As necessary.
And what about your integration with the normal police force and perhaps the airborne branch?
Yes, we're working a lot with those. There's a lot of different patrols on the harbour and different divisions, and we quite often get called to assist them for people that are missing, or kids that are lost on the beach, or people that are disturbed stealing from boats or from houses that are decamped on the water, or hoodlums that have gone to ferries and we have to stop the ferries.
And Frank, how do you see the new boats as increasing the force's ability to handle those sort of problems?
Well, it's certainly reduced our response time. They're a much quicker boat, they're easier to handle, and the equipment we have on board is very well updated from what we have had.
How old are the boats that they're replacing?
Well, they were built and handed over approximately 71, 72.
So they're 16, 17 years old?
Yes, they are years old.
Well, obviously you'd not only be seeing some advantages in the change in construction material from timber to fiberglass, but also in the electronic fit out as well, wouldn't you?
Oh yes, the electronic equipment's far better than what we have.
And Gordon, your operations aren't confined to Sydney Harbour, are they? You have the capability for coastal passages as well.
Yes, we're responsible for an agreement with the Commonwealth. Each state is responsible for search and rescue at sea for pleasure craft and fishing vessels as far as our capabilities allow, and we have vessels strategically placed up and down the coast to do just that.
Right. And obviously, as Frank said, your response time with these new boats would enable you to get there much quicker.
Yes, they are very quick boats, and they appear so far to be very good boats at sea, and the old boats anyway weren't capable of going up the sea anymore. They'd reached the end of their life, and so we have now a much better capability.
Well, I know how hard the old boats work. They were built by Peter Bracken down at Kurnell years and years ago out of moulded ply, and I know how hard they've worked. It's certainly a tribute to wood as a building material and to Peter's skill, the fact that they've lasted so long, isn't it?
Yes, there's a lot of different opinion of which is the best type of boat, whether it's steel or timber or fiberglass. I think that they're all constructed properly, they're the right design, and which I think these are, then they'll all do the job.
Yeah. Well, the boats that were chosen they certainly have a marvellous record in the field. The Stebercraft, particularly this 41-foot hull, has been an offshore and seagoing fishing boat and commercial boat for many years. And I think really the performance that these boats have shown today points up the fact that the hulls are capable of doing the job.
Yes, well, we have heard good reports about them. That's one of the reasons why we were keen to get them. And we know some federal bodies have them. I think the federal police have got one down in Jarvis Bay, and they're very happy with it. And so we're quite pleased and happy to have these boats.
Frank, what about their handling, their performance in close, in difficult situations, say close to the rocks, etc.?
Well, to date, we haven't had them in heavy blows, but we found so far that they've been quite easy to handle. They respond well, no, we think that they're quite good.
Actually, I drove one of them half an hour or so ago, and I was astonished to find that the throttles work in the opposite sense to what we're used to. That was really quite an experience for me. But that's a tradition among your boats.
Yes, we've had those type of controls for many years.
And fascinating. And it was quite easy to get used to. I mean, I got used to it very rapidly.
So what we're trying to do is rationalise our fleet fleet. It's very expensive now to design a boat and have it built one-off. We tried through the department last year and were successful in getting those 2 boats, and our idea is to try and get every boat almost got exactly the same motors and the same design, the same size if possible, and with the same controls. And we have a number of boats now that you can get on another boat and the controls are a bit different. And that's one reason what we've got these boats is it's cheaper to get these boats off the shelf, as it were, and we had a reason for success.
Well, obviously, if the equipment is capable of doing the job and coming up with the goods when the chips are really down, standardisation is really the only logical way to go, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you certainly perform an essential function. And as I said at the beginning, I'm sure some people have a negative attitude towards blue uniforms and blue and orange boats, but it's always been my experience in 40 years of boating, both here and in Queensland, that your presence on the water solves an awful lot of potential problems, stops problems from happening, and when the problems do happen, you guys are always the first there when the chips are down. And I've got to tell you, I really appreciate the fact that you're there and the job that you do. Thanks for talking to me.
Thank you.